Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binder and Ash Paulson to give our thoughts on the latest Nintendo Direct. So, let's get started. Alright guys, Nintendo's had the latest Nintendo Direct. There was a lot in there. It was I think about 40 minutes long, and they covered a ton of games. So of course we're gonna do what we usually do and give our overall thoughts. And of course I think the biggest news here is the fact that they finally announced Paper Mario, which was rumored at some time. So that for me was like a highlight until I actually saw how it played. But we'll get more into that later. But my overall thoughts on the Direct was that it was pretty good. I think it was pretty solid. They talked a lot. They talked about a lot of things there. Some surprises, even with the leak yesterday, which is great. So there was still some stuff we didn't know about. And overall, I think it was solid. They have a lot of stuff coming up, and that's what we needed to know.
I think that's the best way to describe this Direct. It was very solid. It's a very good, giving it a letter grade, it's a B. Nothing too amazing, but the stuff that was there was very good, and I enjoyed what they showed. A highlight for me, of course, Paper Mario, great and all, but seeing the new Kirby game, seeing that game and how much I love Triple Deluxe, which to me is still the best Kirby game, having a sequel to that, yes. Bring it on.
That was the biggest surprise of the Direct, surprisingly, for me. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, nobody.
You guys are both wrong about what is the most exciting announcement and what was the most unexpected announcement in this Direct, which is obviously Heaven Megamix coming to the US later this year. You're objectively wrong, and you guys are both total hacks. No, honestly, yeah, I would give it a B+. I thought it was a pretty good Direct as well. Lots of stuff. It was very rapid fire. They had a lot of stuff to cover in 40 minutes, and even that didn't seem like enough, honestly. They really just show they have a lot coming for both 3DS and Wii U. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I have a feeling you and I, Andre, are going to agree on Paper Mario Color Splash. Mm-hmm. The most exciting thing about that for me is not actually Paper Mario itself, but that leads more credence to the idea that Mother 3 really is coming later this year, because the same rumor stated both.
That's a great point. That's something we were waiting for. At the very end, Bill, you start teasing the final thing, and both Derek and I were like, come on, here it is! And then, to be fair, it was still great. It was still teasing another Kirby game. But wasn't Mother 3. So at this point, it might be an E3 announcement, perhaps, which would tie into their E3 joke from a few years ago.
It would, but also, April 20th, excuse me, is the 10-year anniversary of Mother 3's release in Japan. So it isn't inconceivable to think that they might say something around then.
It's not, and it's not even something they'd have to announce in the Direct even. It could just be something they just throw out there, so...
Yeah.
Or how hype would people be if they actually, build it as an Earthbound Direct? We have a special announcement to make in a mini Earthbound Direct or mini Mother Series Direct.
Build it? Because Bill hosts...
Oh, jeez.
No, that actually would be amazing.
I think it was actually really cool that all three of us had a game in here that we were really excited about, or at least stood out. Andre's game, unfortunately, had a bit of a caveat to it, but the rest, Ash and I are very happy.
Yes.
And that's all that matters.
Great. So let's go and dive into the nitty-gritty of this, and since I'm hosting, I'm going to start off with the one I want to start off with, which is Paper Mario... what's it called?
Color Splash.
Color Splash. I was gonna call it Color Smash, but they were on a run of those Smash games recently. So I had an emotional roller coaster seeing the reveal to this game. At first I'm like, yes, it's Paper Mario, this confirms what we knew. And then I saw the world map, and I instantly have flashbacks to Sticker Star. And then you take a look at the world, and, having... It just reminded me of Sticker Star's framework in general. There were toads, a lot of toads there. Pretty vacant world otherwise. And then the whole combat system is not what we're used to. The thing to me is rewatching that trailer, Bill opens up by saying, in the Paper Mario series, we always try to bring something fresh to the action-adventure genre. And there are two things wrong with that. One, no, you haven't always tried to. The first Paper Mario games prove that, worth Thousand Year Door being, building on the previous one. Secondly, I wouldn't say these were originally action-adventure games. They are now. They were RPGs originally with action elements. So this shows to me that they really have no idea what to do with that series anymore, which is so sad to me. With that said, I do want to clarify one thing. I actually think some of the stuff here looks pretty cool. I like the Color Splash elements. I think that has potential. But it's not what I wanted from a Paper Mario game once again.
Well, I want to take kind of more of a moderate stance on this and say that I agree with you, but I also want to kind of remind everyone that we know almost nothing about Color Splash yet, and I will totally admit that I was getting Sticker Star vibes from that trailer as well, and that definitely does make me a little wary. But I don't want to come out and say that it's going to be disappointing just yet.
Like we don't know that.
It may have RPG elements. The battle system may be very RPG centric. Like we don't really know. Like it was very clear that the trailer footage was of an in development early version of the game. Like there was very little to actually look at. So I have little doubt that there's a lot more coming with this game with regard to what we can expect with it. We just don't know enough yet.
So I agree we don't know enough, but I'm not as confident as you seem to be that, or as well as you potentially are rather, that it will be something more in line with what we're used to. Simply because I feel like Nintendo must have heard what everyone thinks about Sticker Star. Well, a lot of people, I should specify. And you would think that if this game were anything different, they would go out of their way to show that being the case.
That's true too.
The fact that they didn't really makes me think that this is going to be not Sticker Star 2 necessarily, but along those lines. With that said, I do think the game could be good in its own right. But again, it's just not what I quite wanted from a Paper Mario game, based on what we're seeing.
Our best hope right now seems to be that it's good in its own right, in the same way that I believe Super Paper Mario is, and not just a retread of Sticker Star, which I do think it's going to be better than Sticker Star. I'm going to put that prediction out there right now. And as far as the town being empty, that is kind of the joke, because they had that little piece of paper flying through, and all of them were sort of just looking at the town like, where is everybody? So that is part of the joke. So they might fill in the town, because it is nice to there is flashes of Thousand Year Door in there where they travel to this brand new city. And it could open up. And there's potential there where it could be a little bit like Thousand Year Door.
So when it first started up, that actually had what had me most excited. I'm like, this actually is reminding me very heavily of Thousand Year Door. But I'm already picturing how that town unveil is going to work, and it's not working for me. So, I want a rich town I can explore from the outset. I don't want something I'm going to unlock in pieces. But, I mean, again, I want to clarify, we don't know fully how this is going to work. It's just that the trailer they showed off left me cold. So
I think one thing we can say for sure is that it is going to be closer to an RPG than Super Paper Mario was, because they're specifically talking about swiping or painting and flicking cards to initiate battles, which tells me that there are battles on a separate screen. This isn't going to be another, kind of RPG cross-platformer like Super Paper Mario. This will at least be somewhat more of an RPG, closer to, again, Sticker Star wasn't much of an RPG, but it did at least have separate battles. So we are looking at something closer to an RPG than a platformer this time, I think.
I hope so.
Except I did have that screen where they showed the fan blowing the enemies into the camera. So
man, that's true.
That scene is like almost right from Sticker Star. Ugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to remain optimistic, but I'm also going to be a realist here.
No, you're not. You're not going to remain optimistic at all.
I'm going to remain optimistic to the possibility of being optimistic.
Sure. There you go.
I'm not going to go in hating it, but it's just at this point I cannot be excited about what we've seen, despite the fact that I may like some elements of what they've shown off. It's just like Paper Mario has always been about its whole, the entirety of the adventure, and I'm not getting any sense of that in this game yet. Especially because just the very structure of the game, having the world map right there already tells me it's not what I want.
I will say though, the game is freaking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It does look nice.
It does. I mean, and that's something I was most excited for, is to see what this game would look like in HD. Because the step from the original Paper Mario to Thousand Year Door was awesome. And
it's huge.
And this is similarly impressive. But we'll see if the gameplay holds up ultimately. I actually do like the color changing mechanic, or the color hammer, or whatever they end up calling it. But it is about how it comes together as a whole, and we'll have to see. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the other new game, which we already touched on a little bit, being Kirby, which hopefully, Derek, you remember the full name of now.
Yeah, it's Kirby Planet Robobot. But yeah, no, I was not expecting it at all. Of course, when they showed that opening cutscene, I was like, oh, please, please let this be the first true 3D Kirby, and nope. But then I saw it was running off the Triple Deluxe engine, and I'm like, okay, sold. No, it did not take much. Because I still stand by the fact that for me personally, Triple Deluxe is the best Kirby game, even better than Superstar. And I know that's sacrilege to some people out there, but it is so much fun. The new copy abilities look fun with the Dr. Kirby, putting him in a mech. They've shown time and time again putting Kirby in these deadly things is kind of crazy. And honestly, the thing I was most surprised... The multiplayer also looks like a lot of fun, having that sort of RPG element. Much better than the Kirby Fighters and the DDD Drum Dash that was in Triple Deluxe. So that has me hooked too and interested in trying that out. But I'm honestly shocked that Kirby was the next one to get a full set of new amiibos. I was totally expecting Zelda to be the next one, but no, it's Kirby with four new amiibos.
It's especially surprising given that that line of amiibo, like we already have amiibo with 3 of the 4 characters. The only new one is Waddle Dee.
Well, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's kind of indicative of Kirby's kind of silent rise, as you know. it's kind of like Kirby was always kind of comfortably sat in the middle of like Nintendo's B tier series. Then somewhere along the way, he kind of silently rose into becoming one of Nintendo's like leading A tier series. Like he's one of Nintendo's best-selling series now. Like he's consistently successful and pulls good numbers. I mean, Kirby's just kind of like, I don't know. He occupies a different niche in Nintendo's lineup now than he used to.
It's a Sakurai influence, man.
Yeah, I guess so, and I'm right there along with you. I'm surprised that Kirby was the next series to get a full line of amiibo, but my poor wallet, I have to have all 4 of those.
I need them too.
It's Kirby. I love Kirby, and I'm so hyped for this game. I love the idea of seeing Kirby in a giant mech just wrecking everything. I mean, because it's hilarious, because Kirby's, he's Kirby, and he's like the most diminutive badass ever, and just to see him walking around in a giant mech just wrecking everything is great. And I agree with you, Derek, that the mini game in this one looks a lot more interesting than DDD's Drum Dash and Kirby Fighters. I like the RPG elements. And then, there's the amiibo compatibility, which, I don't know, I mean, it seems kind of throwaway. You tap Mario, you get the fire copy ability. You tap Link, you get the sword ability.
That's kind of redundant saying amiibo functionality is throwaway.
Exactly, yeah, right. So
it was kind of cool that if you talk to the Kirby amiibo, he does get his full set of abilities from Smash.
That's true, which is, that's awesome. And I do like that the Kirby amiibo line will unlock specific copy ability, like unique ones like UFO that aren't normally available. And I guess it'll be interesting to see which character unlocks which ability. Like, I'm already wondering which ability Mega Man will unlock, probably like Beam or something. But, just the fact that it's another game in the vein of Kirby Triple Deluxe, it may not be my favorite Kirby game ever like yours, Derek, but I still loved it. And I'm perfectly happy to play another game that runs on its engine.
Yeah, it's so funny because for a long time Kirby was doing all these like offshoots and trying different things, and he still do that because we got Rainbow Curse. But now they're sort of building off that same sort of engine where they started with Return to Dreamland, saw what worked, saw what didn't, worked on that for Triple Deluxe, and now they're building off Triple Deluxe. And it's kind of cool we still have experimental Kirby whilst keeping classic Kirby going and doing his own unique thing within that. I really like this, and again, I really hope we'll get a full 3D Kirby. I'd love to see what they could do with that.
What I'm getting from this whole direct is I think the 3DS has more life in it than we may have estimated it, before. Like, they are still supporting the system pretty thoroughly, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely this direct showed major signs of life for the 3DS. Most of all, for me, is because of Rhythm Heaven Megamix finally coming to the US, which was my personal highlight of the direct, which comes as no surprise to anybody. My Twitter feed was just had a deluge of tweets like, "Is Ash Paulson okay? I think I hear him screaming from like miles away." And it's true. I love Rhythm Heaven to death, and for a while there, it looked like we were not going to get this entry at all. I mean, I even had sources telling me at the time that they had no plans to bring Rhythm Heaven Plus, now called Megamix, to the US whatsoever, or outside of Japan at all. And thankfully, that decision, if it ever was real, seems to have been reversed because it's coming. And it's especially exciting for people who never got to play the original Game Boy Advance version, which never came out outside of Japan, because Rhythm Heaven Megamix includes new and kind of remixed games from all 3 entries in the series. So there's a lot of content, it looks like. I wish we'd gotten a release date, but I'm sure it's going to be sometime, probably late summer is my guess. And I'm just thrilled that this series is alive, that it's alive outside of Japan, and that there is a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, that is great. I actually said in our predictions piece, I think, which we actually were pretty accurate with, but that was one thing I was off on, simply because I said I think Mother 3 had a higher chance of coming here or being released than Rhythm Heaven. So
yeah, I mean, I never would have predicted it, just because I had figured it was just not going to happen. I figured that ship had sailed, so could not be happier to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
They might just be localizing some of these games just because there is a bit of a market for it and they can hope for it and they can just try to do it maybe on the cheap and just keep that content flowing, at least for the 3DS, and keep expanding upon that. Who knows? But I've never actually tried a Rhythm Heaven game, but it always looks entertaining. But I've never fully understood the gameplay. I might give Megamix a shot. Why not?
Get out, Derek. We can't talk anymore. Get out.
Especially because it covers, it covers the original Game Boy Advance game too. So
yeah, it covers all three games.
It's the best version to get.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a weird thing for me, is I think the highlight for me of this whole Direct was seeing the continued Mario Maker support, especially because they are adding more stuff that I put in the top 10 things I wanted to see in Mario Maker. So you're welcome, guys. So we're getting skewers, which is pretty cool, by shaking thwomps. Then we're getting, if you shake a P-switch, it turns into a key, which is something I wanted so much before. Which will, and you can even make it so basically these keys will allow you to unlock a door. So it can force you to explore through a level to find the key, because also you can make it part of a boss. So you can mandate a boss fight now by making it so you have to defeat the boss to get the key, which is also something I wanted originally. And on top of that, speaking of collecting things, they're also adding coins to find now to actually make that key appear as well, which further enhances the exploration element of this game. I love this. I love all those additions. This game is shaping up. I already loved it, and it's getting even better. So I'm extremely happy about all of this.
Totally. And although I'm a little surprised because Expert Mode is already so impossible to beat for most people, just because so many of the Expert levels are ridiculously hard. Now we have Super Expert Mode, which I guess throws, if I remember correctly, 6 levels at you that are extra hard, but then that's the only way to unlock a whole new wave of Mystery Mushroom costumes, which is just like... It seems like it's almost impossible to get every single costume now. But I do love that Tetra is among the new costumes. I mean, Wind Waker Love is always good.
Yeah, that's true.
Always appreciated. And, and the pink coins is a really good idea, because I did see a lot of people wishing they could include, like, the star coins that people had. So this is just a way to implement that idea as well. Like, you can't go any further until you get all the pink coins. But if they want people to explore their level more, or make it more like a classic Mario level, they can kind of do that with these pink coins now. And
what I like about that too is it seems like it's something you would have to mandate if you use it. Where if you had these coins, you needed to get through the end of the level. But I could see it as just like a little Easter egg, even like hide those coins, have the locked door lead to a little bonus room or something.
Yeah, you can easily do that.
Yeah. And
I think it's cool that all this stuff continues to be added for free, which is something that they could easily monetize this and probably make a pretty good killing off of it. But they're choosing not to, and they continue to come to us for free. Same thing with Splatoon. Maybe it's not what people are hoping for, like more new stages, more new weapons, but it is getting more updates.
Yeah.
Balance updates, weapon combinations, new Splatfest elements, and this is all free, which I'm loving this trend of Nintendo just continuing to add life to their, add longevity to their games for free.
It's fantastic. It is truly great.
Going off that, though, there is one thing that is not free, and that's the fact that Hyrule Warriors Legends is getting 4 all-new DLC packs coming throughout the year, and it comes with a season pass of $20. And I'm not quite sure how people will take that, because did they say, Ash, because obviously we're working during that and trying to cover this as best as we can, did they say whether those are Legends exclusives, or will they come to the Wii U as well?
They didn't say whether they're exclusives or not. I think all they said for sure was that it's all new content, so that it isn't just... Obviously, Hyrule Warriors Legends comes with all of the DLC so far for the regular Hyrule Warriors, so this is just a whole new wave of original content, which I assume, at least in terms of characters, will be available for the Wii U version at some point. But
yeah, at the very least, Medley does come out on the Wii U version as well.
Right, and I'm just completely floored by the fact that Hyrule Warriors continues to get new characters and new content. I mean, this must be I know it's done good numbers, but it must really be doing well if Nintendo considers it, viable to keep spending money on updating this same game. Like, how many characters are we looking at now? Like... Over 20? It's crazy. Now we're getting
like that.
We got Medley now. I can only assume Makar is next. And then, maybe other Wind Waker characters. Who knows?
It's impossible to say whether or not they'll add more characters, because there is only one spot open left for the Hyrule Warriors Legends character select screen. at least where it was then. Like, once you add in all the characters you can add, plus all the new ones, there was one spot left, which Medley would fill. So either they're going to have to add a whole new row, or Medley is it. And she's just the last little bit, and the others are just going to be new costumes for the existing characters, as well as maps based on perhaps Zelda 2 or Skyward Sword and whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of maps they can pull from and interesting gimmicks they can do with the map mode, but that's probably where the DLC is going to be focused.
I mean, it is easy enough to update the character select screen, though. I mean, they did that with Smash several times. It's not impossible for them to add characters beyond Medley, and she would be kind of a strange last character. I mean, Medley's cool, but I'm still waiting for the Windfish to be the last character.
Oh, hell yeah! With Link's uncle riding it, don't
exactly.
forget.
Sorry, with Link's uncle riding the Windfish. That's still got to be the last character. So
I am starting to feel bad for the people who really want Groose, because they always want him, and they just keep picking other characters. Now, I love the fact that Medley's in it, but I would love to see what they can do with Groose.
Oh, they probably have to save a few for Hyrule Warriors Legends 2, right? So
that's true.
Yeah. Or Hyrule Warriors Game of the Year edition.
Exactly. So we saw more of Star Fox Zero. Actually, a pretty big focus on Star Fox Zero, which makes sense given it's coming out quite soon. So officially not delayed. Which actually was my first question to Nintendo when they showed off the game to me last week. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the on what more we've seen? Because I've already touched on that a little bit in the discussion or a preview we just posted about the game, but now you guys seen a little bit more about it too. So, what do you think of it?
I mean, it's definitely looking good, but I honestly think that the best way to play this game might be the co-op mode.
I think you mean the Double Dash mode.
Okay, the Double Dash mode. But no, that's a brilliant idea. Like, seeing it in action, exactly how it's going to work. That could be really cool to be working together, and neither person is, useless in that situation. You got to dodge, but you also got to shoot pretty well, and you can pass off between levels and whatever, and get through this game, and that'd be a really cool mode. All the different things they're introducing and changing. I mean, the game does seem to be coming together, and it is interesting that they are highlighting the fact that you're going to need to replay the game to get better at it. They're already saying, like, you're not going to be good at this when you first start. Well, not that good at it. So you're going to have to keep playing and getting better. I did like that kind of emphasis.
It looks nice, but it did kind of confirm at the same time my worst fears about this game, which is that it is essentially yet another rehash of Star Fox 64. And they basically came right out and said it, that, your goal is Venom and Andross. Right. And that the story and structure are very similar to Star Fox 64, just with entirely new planets and stages and gameplay, which obviously, especially where Nintendo games are concerned, gameplay is the most important factor, no doubt about it. And I'm sure the game's going to be fun, but I'm tired of Star Fox 64 being rehashed. It's like Star Fox 64 is great, but let it be great in the past and remain a classic to this day. But let's just make a new Star Fox game with the core gameplay. That's fine. I don't know. It's too similar to 64 for me.
It is, at the same time, it's a return to form, seemingly, for Star Fox, and that's nice to see, at least.
Yeah, it is.
So, I totally agree. I don't know why they're rehashing Star Fox 64 again. At the same time, when I've played this game, I've had fun with it. There are issues, seemingly, which might be resolved just by playing the game more. As I mentioned in our discussion, but I actually am optimistic about this game. I have fun with it, and I do want to play more. With that said, I agree with you. I wish I had come up with something more original than, revisiting Corneria for the 500th time and going to Venom. But at least we do have that little, that hook this time, or maybe not hook, but that distinction where when you beat Venom now, then that opens up alternate paths as opposed to them always being available from the get-go.
That's true. I have to say, though, for better and worse, I still kind of feel like Star Fox Zero is going to ultimately end up being a drop in the bucket. Like, I feel like it's going to come out and be good, but I feel like by the end of the year, it's going to be all but forgotten. Possibly. I don't know. It's just the idea I have. I just feel like it's going to be a drop in the bucket. I hope I'm wrong, because Star Fox deserves better, but I just kind of feel like it's going to be a one-and-done type thing.
It could be. It very well might be. We'll see. Now, something else we saw, which might either support or take away from that argument for you, is the fact that Star Fox also has another game coming out called Star Fox Guard, which is basically a reskin version of Project Guard that we saw at E3 a year or two ago. In which, you watch the TV with a bunch of cameras, and you can use on the gamepad to select a camera and then shoot the incoming enemies. It seems like it's basically a tower defense game. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really care. I mean, I think it's cool that it comes with it, and I buy my games physically.
In retail, it comes with it. If you buy
in retail, that's true. So I mean, if I do get the game, I'll probably get the game physically. I'll try it and mess around with it, but it's not at all a draw for me. I didn't see it and go, oh, I have to get Star Fox Zero now because it comes to Star Fox Guard. I'm like, oh well, I'll check it out, but I'm not a big... To be fair, though, that's not because the game looks bad or boring. It's just because I don't care about tower defense games. They bore me to death. But people who like them may love this.
Well, the interesting thing is, Derek is actually the one who pointed out the tower defense thing to me, and it's something I hadn't realized while playing it, and that actually is the best way to describe it. At the same time, it didn't feel like a typical tower defense setup to me.
Well, the way you described it, there's less about like making sure your units are upgraded. It's more about you controlling these cameras and spotting these. Like it's all about the setup, less about like how powerful your units are or anything like that, or reacting to anything else like that. The cameras do add a very different feel to this compared to other tower defense games. Whether that's enough, I'm not sure. I mean, it looks intriguing enough. I'll give it a shot. And the fact that it has so much content is a bonus. I mean, if you get it, it's $15 if you just get it digitally, $10 if you get it along with Star Fox Zero. But so it's not too bad to get 100+ missions plus the ability to make your own. So there's good stuff in here. It's just whether or not each person individually will get addicted to it or not.
Right.
Yep.
Something else we saw a lot more of is Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is another game I played recently. Before I give my thoughts, as a lot of people may have already heard from our discussion, what do you guys think about what we've seen of this game?
It's still not selling me at all as a Metroid game, even in the least. Like I feel bad for Tabata because I know he's passionate about the game. Mm-hmm. I want to support him. I want to believe that he, has his own ideal vision for Metroid, and I'm sure he does. And I wish him all success, but I just don't care about this game. It does not sell itself to me as a Metroid title. That doesn't mean that the game itself won't be good.
Right.
But it's not a Metroid game to me. I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
That is its biggest issue, I think, is because the gameplay looks fine.
Yeah.
It really does. It looks like it could play really fun, and being able to join up with other people could be a lot of fun. But that art style is just so ill-fitting, especially when they're out of the mech suits, where they have these giant heads, these really tiny bodies, and then they actually showed a picture of Samus during the Direct, and it does not look like Samus. It just looks like it just does not match anything that Metroid has presented itself as, where it's the more serious Nintendo series, where they have this sort of darker feel, and now it's been chibi-fied, and usually that works for some games, and for fan art and stuff of Samus, that's fine, but for an official product, it just feels off, and I want to like this game. I think I will like this game on its own merits, but it's not a Metroid game in the slightest.
It's like watching the Direct when they mentioned they have this elite team, and then you see them in this little chibi art style, like very cartoony, very at odds with almost everything we've seen in Metroid ever. It didn't line up. It doesn't match up, and even after playing it, there are from a pure control standpoint and the HUD standpoint as well, I can see the Metroid influence. But in terms of how it actually plays and how it looks, doesn't look Metroid at all, and the fact that comparison is going to be made constantly is going to really work against this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nintendo themselves, like Bill, recognized the fact that they labeled it as people confused about the title, not that the title had any problems. So that's why Tabata was there trying to convince people that no, this there is a reason. This is the Metroid universe and whatnot. This is an idea I've had for a long time, and good for you, but that's not what people want to hear.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. And I think if they had focused on the stuff that they had show you, the customization and showing what they can go into, they teased at the fact that they would cover that down the line. But that stuff they need to put out now and let people know what it's capable of and what the game can do to make them really, get into it. And because right now, I mean, again, I think it could be a fine game, but it's not Metroid, and that's what people are basing it off of. And it's, as we see every single time it's mentioned, it just gets creamed as far as dislikes,
Well, it's too bad because there really could be a fantastic game. For all we know, there could be a fantastic game in there, but the fact that it's attached to the Metroid IP just means a lot of people are never even going to give it a chance out of spite. Which, if it is a great game, that's a shame.
All right, moving on. Another somewhat big announcement, which was leaked beforehand, is that Super Nintendo games are coming to the Virtual Console, but only on the new 3DS, which is weird.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the news inherently of any game coming to the Virtual Console is good. That's great. On the other hand, for me personally, I don't play on the new 3DS, partially because I have to capture everything on the original 3DS. But I think for a lot of people, this is disappointing because most people don't own a new 3DS. I'm sure a large chunk of people do at this point, but most don't. And they won't have access to these titles at this point, which is unfortunate.
I'm of two minds on that, because I agree that it is disappointing for people who don't own the new 3DS, but at the same time, there are very few reasons right now to own a new 3DS above and beyond the original. So it is nice that there is now something else to distinguish the new 3DS from the original, like some other perk for people who chose to upgrade.
Isn't it a bit ironic, though, that that one of the unique uses of the new 3DS is old content?
Yeah, it is, which I have a hard time believing that the old 3DS can't handle Super NES games. Like, that just seems really strange to me. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, hey, I'm also not... I don't know anything about the technical aspects of how these work.
We're not programmers. So.
Exactly. But, I will say this. The fact that I can very soon, later this month, buy Earthbound to play on a portable console is one of the coolest things ever.
And that has to be one of the best build-ups to Mother 3,
exactly,
right?
Yep.
It's awesome that they're including it, but again, I'm thinking, I have a couple SNES games on the Wii U Virtual Console. I guarantee I'm not going to be able to transfer them over. So once again, we need that unified system because we're basically rebuying these games once again. And, sometimes that happens, okay. But I don't have a new 3DS at all, so this doesn't appeal to me that much. I mean, the SNES is a great console, and these are all really good games coming to the system. But I don't have any opportunity to play them, and it's unfortunate. Though the inclusion of this pixel perfect mode, I think a lot of people will enjoy that.
And I gotta say, I was looking at the eShop before we did the discussion, just kind of going through the trailers and the screenshots for all three games released today, and they do look really nice, I have to say. But at the same time, kind of like what you were saying, Derek, I was looking at that $7.99 price point, and I'm like, these are classic games, I love these games, but do I really want to pay for Super Mario World full price, or at least, quote-unquote full price yet again? Mm-hmm. Like, this is something that My Nintendo, when it launches later this month, needs to address. You have to have cross-buy with these games, because it's becoming silly now buying the same classic games on 2 or 3 systems for full price each time. It's silly.
That's a great point. Is that something they mentioned at all in the Direct? Whether that's, do you have to rebuy it on new 3DS if you already own it on Wii U? Or
They didn't mention it at all. They only said that My Nintendo details are coming later this month along with the launch, but they didn't address cross-buy or something like cross-buy at all, which frankly needs to happen, because I'm looking at that $8 price tag and I'm like, I don't really want to pay that much for Super Mario World on 3DS.
If you bought it on every Virtual Console platform, you've almost paid as much as you would have for the original game at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't mind paying the money to get it, but let me own it completely,
Exactly.
That I don't have to re-buy it. That's the issue. I mean, $8 for an SNES game, pixel perfect mode and all that, yeah, fine. Especially being able to take it on the go, that's great. But let me own it when I buy it. Yep.
Well, and Nintendo had the right idea when they launched the Wii U Virtual Console, allowing you to buy it on Wii U if you already owned it for the Wii for $1.50 or $1. If they introduce something like that for the 3DS once My Nintendo launches, I'm in. I'm totally down for that. I think that's fair. I'm not asking for everything for free. I think $1 is fine, but full price right now, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
I might not wait on Earthbound, but I'm gonna wait on everything else.
We know you won't wait on Earthbound.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot. There's still a lot more to talk about in the Direct, but I figured that we don't need to touch on everything, but that'll take us forever. So I figured we'd throw to you guys if there's any other highlights you wanted to bring up before we start wrapping up things here.
I guess one of the big things for me is the fact that Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem finally has an English title.
That's good.
That's been driving me nuts.
Yeah.
It's Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which I forgot the the commenter who noticed this or pointed this out, but I thought it was really clever. It's backwards SMT. So it's TMS.
That's pretty cool.
And all that. So that's really clever. And it's going to be launching in the summer, which is the perfect time for it. And it's keeping the original Japanese voice track, which makes a lot of sense because they don't have to redub it and find voice actors that can sing like they do in the Japanese version. Plus, it sort of works for this game since it is so involved in the Japanese culture. So I think it all works. I think the game looks good. The little bit I played of it is a lot of fun. So I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, I actually, same here. I'm glad that it finally got a release date, June 24th. I'm personally going to call it #FE just because that's so much funnier and more ridiculous. But yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to this game a lot. I know a lot of Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei fans have kind of grown cold on it because of the general kind of pop music aesthetic to it, kind of pop idol aesthetic, but I think it looks great. I love how colorful it is. I love how full of energy it is. And I'm really looking forward to checking it out when it comes out in June. I'm glad it's coming soon.
All right. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Yeah. Well, one thing is for a lot of people, Monster Hunter Generations is a big deal. Personally, I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. I just never got into the series, but this is going to be a monster game. Wow, why did I say that? This is going to be a massive game when it does launch this summer. I actually got a press release from Capcom right after the Direct that specified that it's coming out in summer. So there that is. It's going to be a huge game. But the other thing I kind of want to touch on is I like that Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 got its own little section in the Direct. I love the original game, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. They did discount the original Azure Striker Gunvolt to $9.99 for a while, so if you haven't played this great game, now's the perfect time to. I really liked it.
I mean, the Monster Hunter Generations coming out, that's definitely big. There's a lot of Monster Hunter fans out there. And I heard that the X, or Cross, as it was known in Japan, is supposed to be the most accessible one, since it is more action-based. And the fact that they're discounting the original, and it has ways that they cross over and you get bonus content, this is a huge franchise, and they really recognize it, and they're doing a lot of things to help promote it as such. And of course, that they're continuing the Nintendo support by having the Fire Emblem content, collaboration content coming to Generations. So, it is good to see a game like this just flourish on the 3DS. It's kind of funny. Azure Striker Gunvolt 2, I'll probably check it out. I enjoyed it for what it was for the original, but it didn't blow me away in any real way. But, I mean, there's so many RPGs coming to the 3DS this year. Bravely Second, they showed off more of Dragon Quest 7. We're getting Dragon Quest 8 later down the line. I'm still super excited for Dragon Quest 7 because they completely retranslated the story. It's essentially a new game, as they said, and it's just like I've really grown to enjoy the Dragon Quest series over the years, and it's a delight that I can finally support them like this. Because they're bringing the games out finally.
Yeah, it helps, right?
Yeah, it kind of helps. If you give me the games to buy, I'm going to buy them.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm particularly excited for Dragon Quest 8. I never really got into Dragon Quest over the years. They're just a little too, I don't want to say too old school, but I guess the lack of a focus on story and characters has kind of turned me off to the games over the years. But that said, Dragon Quest 8 has always kind of had more of a focus on kind of story and narrative and the overall world, which makes me very excited to maybe play it on 3DS later this year. 7, I'm still undecided on if it's for me, but 8 for sure, I'm quite excited about.
The thing I can say about Dragon Quest, it's definitely more of a focus on characters. Maybe not your main party, but they do have, it's like short, with some of the games, it's short vignettes on characters that you
That's
meet.
true, yeah.
And learning about them. The overall story might not be huge or interesting or beyond anything else like that, but 8 sort of does do the best job of combining the two, where it's character focused and story focused.
Right.
So I highly recommend Dragon Quest 8.
Cool, I'm looking forward to it.
You guys ready to have Mario and Sonic go to the Olympics once again?
Oh, that's right. They did show off the Wii U one. Finally found out more about that game.
I will say, honestly, the opening's really good.
Yeah.
The opening's got tons of fan service.
I thought not just the opening looked good. I thought actually, what was that one? They showed off one minigame or one game that actually looked pretty fun too. I thought
the rugby.
Yeah, I guess it was rugby. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look fun. They've putting so many characters in there, and it's kind of funny to see the Deadly Six in there from Lost World, as well as Styx from Sonic Boom, and only Styx.
They're all together. The only thing why won't they let the Sonic Riders characters die? Did anyone really want to see what's their name? Storm the Albatross and I don't remember their names anymore.
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember the girl's name, but there's Jet the Hawk and Storm the
Jet the Hawk, Storm the Albatross, and I can't remember the other one. But
Wave the
do we
Swallow.
really need? There you got it. Wave the Swallow. Do we really need those characters in anything anymore?
Those really are prime candidates for a future missing in action. So,
well, they're
No,
not really
because
missing
they're not
anymore.
missing. They keep
well, that's what I'm
bringing them
saying.
back.
They should be. That's
They
that's
should
my
be
point.
missing.
They should be missing in action.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's people like them. I mean, I think Jet the Hawk's design at least is really good. I think that helps a lot.
He does work as a rival character. Well, yet another rival character to Sonic, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that they're putting so much. Like, I was commenting to Andre as we were watching. It's like, this has better production values than Mario Tennis. Ultra
It actually,
Smash.
well, it definitely does. That's for sure.
All right, well, I think that about wraps up for us here, guys. So thanks for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below. It's a good way to keep updated on everything we post. And, of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for more from this direct, including analysis and probably more in-depth discussions and other things gaming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.